Hello, buddies. Welcome back to another episode of My View on Books. It's episode number 48, and in this episode, I'm going to talk about Agatha Christie's The Secret Chimneys. Yes. So, as usual, every year in the beginning, I used to read a Lee Child novel as well as Agatha Christie novel. So, this year it was The Secret Chimneys. And as you know, if you are a bibliophile, you know Agatha Christie was the most profound murder mystery writer, and this is yet another intriguing murder mystery novel by her. And it's a very good story because as usual, there are a lot of characters, so that we get a confusion like who committed the murder. So, and as usual, there's a murder in the very beginning of the story. It just takes its time to set up the world, the characters, and then there's a murder, and all of a sudden, like a shocking murder, and it's in the very what do you say? It's happening in the aristocrats society. I mean, circle, and basically, a few detectives pitch in, and they try to solve who was a murderer and what was the motive and how it was conducted. So yeah, this is like a standalone novel. If you know Agatha Christie, she has this recurring characters, right? Tuppy and Tommy series where there are two boy and a girl like who solves crimes, and then there is Hercule Poirot, the most famous detective. Some of his stories have been made into movies already. And then I thought I was looking out for Hercule Poirot in this book, but then it's a very standalone novel. So it has its own set of characters, and the standout detective here is Battle, Lieutenant Battle, and of course the protagonist. So there are so many characters, as I said, like plethora of characters. It's difficult to keep them, track. But the leading characters of the story, who makes the story go forward, are Anthony Cade and Battle, as I said, the detective, honest and methodical detective, and Virginia River, the vibrant character who's a widow basically. And yeah, these are the three main characters. So what happens in the beginning of the story is Anthony Cad is basically a guide, ship guide, I guess. He just shows people like a tourist guide. So he happens to meet his friend, old time friend Jimmy in Zimbabwe. So he's basically touring in Zimbabwe, and they happen to have this casual chat. And Jimmy says that he's like a gold one who searches for gold, right? I forgot the term. So he kind of is going to Africa because his main goal in life is to find gold. So he feels that in Africa there's a possibility, a promising future where you can actually get some gold. And then he says that I have two things to do, but I'm not interested to do it. Maybe if you want, you can take it up. So that's how the conversation starts. And then he says, there is huge stuff is going on in Europe, Slovakia. So it's a country where the king and the queen have been murdered by a revolutionary, basically by a revolution, and it's like basically republic now. So they want to restore monarchy. So Britain is rooting for the cousin of the dead king, I guess, Michael's, I guess, and then America is rooting for another cousin, so who's happened to be dead in Congo. So this is how the setup is done. So basically, it revolves around this Slovakia, where currently it's republic, and they're planning to restore monarchy by instilling a king. So Britain is behind this cousin, so that if he's made into king, they could have some agreements to extract oil from the country. So it's rich in oil. So Jimmy says that he has some memoirs of person like Count Styrich. So he's like a revolutionary person. He has some memoirs that are related to the events that led to the murder of the king and the queen. And these memoirs are really profound and secret information. If it comes out, it will be a huge problem for Britain as well as also Slovakia, and there could be trouble in bringing monarchy. And these memoirs that like he met that person, the owner of the memoirs, and he happened to save him. Jimmy happened to save this person, and in return, he gave this memoirs and told him, like, I'm gonna die. Just deliver this to a publisher in England so that you'll get £1,000 for this commitment. I mean, £1,000, I guess it's happening in England, right? So £1,000, and it's very important for my country as well as like what happened, and you need to publish it. There will be a lot of attempts, people would try to steal this from you, so you need to be careful and deliver it. So this is the main task that Jimmy was given, but Jimmy is like, I have to go to Africa to get gold, so why don't you take it up? And Anthony Cade is a character, very, very, what do you say, adventurer. He's like an adventurer. He wants to take up stuff that is brave, and he has this courage to face any situation. So he immediately, okay, it's interesting. I'll take up this task. I will deliver the memoirs to England publisher. And then there is another task, like subtask, like we see in games, right? So Jimmy has some letters, love letters, or like what do you say, from a lady called Virginia Reville to another person, basically an affair. So with these letters, a person has been blackmailing Virginia, the lady in question, and the person who had the letters died. So he's like, again, Jimmy helped this guy, so this guy gave it as a gift, you can blackmail this Virginia Reville with these letters and get some money. It could be useful for your survival. So Jimmy is like, no, I'm not interested in doing this stuff, so I'll return the letters to her, and at least she can live the rest of her life by having that resolved, right? Okay, my letters are back, I am not blackmailed anymore. So Jimmy hands over this subtask as well, delivering the letters, find out the lady Virginia Reville. So they just know the name, so they don't know anything else. So this is how the story is set up. Anthony Cad takes up these two tasks, like the main thing, the memoirs related to Czechoslovakia government and what happened there, how the king and the queen was murdered, and how they're planning to restore monarchy. All this secret information in the memoirs. We do not know what exactly in that. We just know that something related to the country, and the letters. So Anthony Cates impersonates Jimmy and comes to England. What happens after he come? Obviously, there is like communists, and then the other group, left and right party groups. So they try to make sure that the letters are not delivered to the publisher, and also the title Chimneys. So Chimneys is like a country house in England where the rich folks and the political folks meet for basically political discussions. So there is a secret meeting in Chimneys, and Virginia Reville is a character, very prominent figure. She was the wife of a, what do you say, external minister, like Britain's minister to Slovakia. So she's a very prominent character in this story, and Anthony happens to get in touch with Virginia Reville, and like they go to this country house meeting, Chimneys. So that is the murder. So this, like, until then they kind of describe Chimneys like it's where it happens. All the political decisions, all the important decisions from in Europe is made in Chimneys. So you're intrigued while reading. You're like, okay, when are we going to the Chimneys? So as a character, you start thinking like, okay, when is Anthony Cade or Virginia Reville or anyone is going to go to Chimneys? So when we go there and there's the murder, so the murderer, the murdered person is the next Britain, who Britain was rooting for to be king. So Prince. So that's the person who's murdered. So there's a huge shock. Now what's gonna happen? He was supposed to be the king. We were supporting him, and he was supposed to be installed as the king of Czechoslovakia so that we can get oil concessions. But somebody murdered the prince. So they start thinking like, okay, let's solve this murder. How do we solve this murder? Who happens to benefit from the murder of the prince who's supposed to be king? So that's how they start thinking. So Anthony Cade, in the name of Jimmy, he has his own. He's doing his own investigation, and the superintendent Battle. So another main character that I was talking about. He's the lead investigator from Scotland Yard, and there is another spy from French who's also part of the investigation. And the villain obviously is exposed kind of now and then till the middle of the story, but after that we came to know that there is a huge figure apart from all these characters. There's a huge figure called King, and he kind of was doing all this stuff, and nobody knows whether he's alive or not. And he also basically impersonates different kind of figures, like, so he could be anywhere and anyone. So everything happens in Chimneys. All these characters are locked there because the cops feel like, okay, it's not safe. until 2-3 days of investigation is done, nobody should leave Chimney. So all the characters are locked in the said house, and how Anthony Cade and Battle, you know, solves this murder and finds out the murderer. And obviously there's plenty of twist. And I mean, I was trying to figure out who is the murderer, because it has to be one of the characters that we are reading, right? But like completely unexpected ending, where you kind of realize that okay, character was the murderer. And there's more twist. It doesn't stop at the place where the murderer is revealed. It has more twist, and until the last page you're like hooked into the story. So it's not like a thriller, but it's a suspense where you keep guessing who's the murderer and how they are solving. So for those who loved Sherlock Holmes, it's the nearest that you can get. Agatha Christie stories are like, I think she's also inspired by Sherlock Holmes stories. So you can see it in her writing, like how she builds up the story, the characters, and so many characters, so that people get idea, like like who's you have plenty of options, like you can't figure out who. And this particular, when they start the investigation, Anthony Cade asked the question, who kind of who what's the motive, who will benefit from this murder, like the prince's murder. He was supposed to be the king of Slovakia country. Now what happens, like what will happen, who benefits from this murder? So that's how the investigation starts, and we are also hooked. So it's basically you're watching a detective solving a case, and there's so many characters and you trying to solve it. So you have to read the book to find out who's the murderer. So yes, those who love murder mystery, definitely you have to read The Secret of the Chimneys. Very, very intriguing as any other Agatha Christie books. And fans of Sherlock Holmes, fans of fiction, fans of British, what do you say, periodical novels. So all of you can read this. And yes, as I said, it's pretty slow, and it's written in the 19, I guess, during Agatha Christie time, right? So you might find it difficult to read or get the meaning of certain words. I want to read certain quotes from the book. 147. Yes, so they are trying to look for evidence, clues, or anything about the murder. So that happens to be this Battle says this, but it's never much good looking when you don't know where to look. So he says that, when you don't know where to look, there's no point in looking at some place, right? So you have to know where to look or what to look, or else you can't figure out what do you do, right? You just do something like just for the sake of it. It was really good. And then one more, 131. Yeah, this is something like, barking dogs don't bite. I've always found out that those who talk up most about blood have never actually seen it run. So when like people from war, or like the law field, they say that I've seen so many murders, so many blood. So it's like the character speaks like, who talk most about blood have never actually seen it run. So yeah, the writing, as I said, it's really good. She keeps the characters, every character doubtful. Like you're skeptic about every character. The protagonist, like we kind of feel the protagonist is the murderer. Like then, oh, it's such kind of doubts you get, and you have to read the story, right? So you end up reading the complete story to find out what happened. So, and she kind of builds up this as per the title. You pick up the book because of the title, The Secret of Chimneys. So what is Chimneys? I thought, it's kind of some magic cult or something. But then it happened to be a country house which is like famous for secret dishes, or like political meetings happening there, and there murders happen. So it's like utmost important to solve it as soon as possible. And because there is like a country involved, which Britain was trying to install a king there, so that they can get oil constitution. So it's every element of the story when it gets built, and as you turn the pages, it's more intriguing. And it's around 300 plus pages. Yeah. So you can imagine like how many characters now the stories are built, and it could be more than 500. I felt like her novels are around the same range, like 250 to 300, 400. So that's how she builds the world and characters around it. Yeah, do read it, The Secret of Chimneys by Agatha Christie. And I'm gonna pick up the next installment in our murder mystery novels the next year. And yeah, I'll catch you in another live stream. Until then, oh, this is not live, right?
Cool. I'll catch you in another episode of My View on Books. Until then, you were watching MaddiE with MaddiE. I'm MaddiE DawsoN. Bye bye.